Hey, what's up, everybody? TJ here, just jumping in to give you my thoughts on the latest chapter of One Punch Man 155. Now, this is not something we cover on the podcast, this is just something I read on my own, but I'm curious to see what you guys thought. Before I go any further, remember that there are spoilers ahead. I'll give you guys a little chap summary and then go into my thoughts. So 154, where do we leave off? Gato basically taking care of Platinum Sperm and beating up Flashy Flash. We open up this chapter and we see that the kid that Gato was protecting this whole time during this like epic battle is now safe. He's in a chopper, but they're not out of the woods yet. And unfortunately for that kid, we get into this chapter, right? And we see that we'll just call him eldest centipede for now, because we know that there's like this hierarchy of centipede monsters. They just keep getting ancient and more ancient, elder, eldest, whatever you want to call it, right? But I'm gonna call him elder centipede and evil ocean water, which, by the way, let's just say some of these monster names are like super simplistic but super effective, right? Now, going back to the whole beating up Flashy Flash and Platinum Sperm, we assume that Platinum Sperm is gone, but remember, in this incarnation of the manga, we know that Platinum Sperm didn't use all his instances when merging, and then if you remember the original webcomic, you also know the same thing, right? We see that Gato was doing pretty well up to a certain point against both Evil Ocean Water and Eldest Centipede, but then they spot that chopper, like I said at the beginning of the chapter, and they're using that to basically put Gato in between a rock and a hard place, right? If you don't comply, we're just gonna destroy this chopper real quick because it looks like you care about its fate. So while holding that chopper hostage, or at least the civilians inside, they start getting the upper hand, and then our boy Saitama enters the chapter, right? The One Punch Man himself, he enters the chat, and we see him use a serious punch. Now, whenever we see the prefix serious, right, we know that it's actually going to be a high level, highly destructive attack. And we see him do very short work of, or very quick work of Evil Ocean Water. Like basically, Saitama was Moses parting the Red Seas in the imagery there. And it was crazy, right? And it was funny too, because we also saw a little scene of Saitama using an aircraft carrier as a surfboard, and then also him casually thinking to himself, I could carry it, but I don't have any footholds, which is like another instance of Saitama being overpowerful, right? Or overpowered OP, if you will. Now, we then get an unlikely combo in Metal Bat and Gato, who team up to just finish taking out Eldest Centipede. I thought it was an interesting team up. It's interesting to note too that they have very similar personalities. They're both very abrasive, antagonistic, but they worked really well together. And we see that in the very last panel where they do a twin strike, Metal Bat with like the upward strike with his metal baseball bat, Gato with the like kick, right? And they effectively uppercut Eldest Centipede like out of the picture. Now we don't know if Eldest Centipede is done for, but it was effective enough, right? It then cuts to Suiryu, who, if you guys remember him from the tournament arc, and then later on he tried to be a hero, still recovering in the hospital, and he notes that Gato isn't giving off the evil vibes that the media in this chapter is trying to portray him as being like a complete monster. Now, that was a chapter summary of my thoughts. To In all honesty, it's like I will never be mad at Murata Yusuke's artwork ever. I've been a fan of this man since iShield 21. However, I would really like this to hurry up. Now, One Punch Man is not a weekly serialization, as those of you who read this know. It's like you gotta wait a while to get a new chapter. Sometimes you'll get surprised. You might get multiple chapters in a month, but usually it's once a month, kind of like same vibes as Super or Boruto, right? But I really wish we would just hurry up and get to the fight between Gato and Saitama. It's long overdue, and I thought that this chapter would be that chapter when they just showed Saitama running across the water and doing that damage he did to Evil Ocean Water. But that doesn't seem to be the case. It just really focused on the combo with Metal Bat and Gato. But I guess it's also a way to show that Gato isn't 100% evil, right? It's like he's still human. He just has these beliefs, but he's not an outright monster. And he never actually monsterized per se. It's like whenever you think about monsterization with Gato, you have to put an asterisk in around that, right? Because he did not eat the monster fruit, right? He simply just surpassed his limits, which brings up the question I had, which is like, you could almost say that Gato experienced what Saitama experienced in the sense that they hit human limitations and surpassed them, but they were not monsters per se. And this is something you actually see a lot in One Punch Man, where, like, for instance, let's take Tank Top Master and the whole Tank Top crew. It's not like these people are mutants, but in this world, it seems like if you have some type of obsession or you work really hard towards something, there is a potential in you to surpass those limits and reach another level, right? And there has been a mention of a godlike figure in this series too, and I guess that'll be more, or I guess more of that will be revealed, and we'll see how that relates to this world where people can just have these extraordinary powers if they work hard enough. I'm super curious to see the conclusion of this chapter because, like I said, it'll answer some of these questions, but also just to see the fight. And then let's not forget too that Blast is now has now been revealed in this arc, and he showed up in the last chapter too when he saved Tatsumaki, right? And then it'd be interesting to see what role he plays as well. And lastly, as always, like, the artwork was top notch. I mean, it's a long wait, but for that artwork, it's worth it. And I'm hyped for the next chapter. As always, thank you guys for, following, subscribing, listening, and let me know what you thought of this chapter in the comments. Appreciate y'all. Hope you enjoy the rest of your weekend. Peace.